be mortal.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Mere Mortals Musings. Not live today because of a Windows update on my laptop.
Bloody Windows.
We are recording at the same time, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday. Almost.
Correct.
You've got Kyron here.
You got Juan on the other side as well.
Brilliant. And we're going to be talking about video game economies today. So Mere Mortals Musings, we pick a topic and we dive deeper into it. Philosophizing a little bit, philosophy in the park, but the park is actually Juan's studio here.
Exactly.
So I've been on a mini splurge on the intersection of, part of it was like crypto related games, but also I was just getting thrown some random stuff by the YouTube algorithm recently, which has been quite nice. A bit of a change
Changing it up.
And there was a couple of videos which really jumped out at me, and I was like, "Oh, that's actually kind of interesting. Like, what the hell?" And so one of them was related to what we hinted at last week, the blue party hat, and why is it worth a car?
Yep.
Like,
is it still worth a car?
I don't think so now.
Okay.
It was at one point, and yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe in the future it'll be.
Wait,
that
make
was
it
a
clear.
RuneScape.
I was going to make clear to people. I think there was multiple hats that you could get in the game.
Correct.
I don't know how you obtained them because I never personally played RuneScape.
Yeah. So what happened was RuneScape, like online. What kind of game is it? Is it
MMORG? Yeah.
Multiplayer online something game.
Role-playing game. A massive multiplayer online role-playing game.
Nice. Nailed it.
Ooh.
And so very popular in the 2000s period, I think in particular, but probably even to this day. And basically what happened in that game was during select events of the year, so around Christmas or around Halloween, the devs of this game, and they were like very actively involved in the game, like continually updating it, would just do like, okay, we're putting Santa hats out in the wild. And so you could just find these Santa hats. And they were really clunky, unuseful items because it's like some of them you couldn't even wear on your character. Some of them would take up like a full inventory space, but you couldn't have additional of them. So it'd be like, it wasn't smart if you're playing the game to actually have them in your inventory. So they were just like useless, completely useless. And in fact would detract from you being able to play.
Yeah, gameplay wise, bad.
Yes. But as a kind of status symbol, one over the course of time, like people lost them or there wasn't that many that were collected, people discarded them, so they started to get scarce. It's like, ooh, online digital scarcity, we know this story. And
Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. And then people started to realize like, oh, I can actually sell this for like a bit of gold. People are wanting these things. And so like an in-game market economy started to form and to merge into the RuneScape, which always had an in-game marketplace. People were smithing things. People would get ore and they'd sell that for ingots. They'd get, this weapon for that weapon. You were leveling up, and so you needed to know someone who could do this thing for you. So it was very like interactive between the user base. There was already a market economy there, and this was just like the speculative asset in this, rather than something like a commodity, which was of the gold, which was more tightly controlled by the game and had a bit more dispersion and things like this.
Sure.
So people essentially, there was different colors of it. The cabals would form of like these people who are manipulating the price to make it higher. There would be the purple party hat was like the most rare for a bit, and then people did the math and they're like, oh wait, I think the blue is actually more rare now. And it got up to the point where people were trading these things for so much in-game currency that could be converted for
there was like equivalent to a car cost.
Yeah, that it was equivalent to a car. So like 20 grand maybe.
What do you reckon the peak cost of the peak value of blue hats?
The 40 grand sits in my head, but that's I'm not and slightly uninformed.
Let's quickly figure it out. It says here the blue party hat in RuneScape at around in 2017 indicated the blue party hat was traded for approximately 57 billion gold pieces, equating to around 6,700 USD at the time.
Okay, all right. I was a fair bit under.
But maybe it was more
really shitty cut.
Maybe it was more prior. Maybe it was less, whatever it may be. But again, it's like significant money for what was not intended to be money, right? What was not intended to be anything more than just like a Easter egg, basically, in a game.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like summarizing this video I saw, which is, it was along the lines of, why is a blue party hat worth a car?
Yeah.
And if you want more, go to that YouTube channel or that YouTube video. And it has a really good explanation of basically everything I just said, except it'll take you half an hour. It's a long video.
You just summarize it then. Okay. So then why that topic? What things in it was interesting to you?
So I suppose this was just one of those ones where it was like, it was interesting because this market emerged whether the creators wanted it or not, which I find rather interesting about video games. Like, people are just playing these things, and it's like, you can just play Tetris if you want, but that's all you can do. But there's ones where it's these massive multiplayer games where it was really interesting. So the Runescape has a very active developer, which is called, I hope I wrote that down. It was like Pax, something like that. And anyway, they were very, like, they'd always be pushing updates. They were the ones who were putting these little in-game items in, things like this.
Jagex,
that's the one. And so Jagex had a lot, like, it's essentially, almost think of them as a government. They were controlling prices of things. They tried to manipulate stuff. And it was really interesting where things got out of hand and they couldn't control it, which is like, what the hell? They own the video game. There's a perfect analogy for a government. They can control basically every aspect. If they want to take things from people's inventories, they can. If they want to multiply a thing to make it valueless, they can. They want to get people to do certain things, they can. And so they had this central marketplace where they were fixing the price for certain things, like the party hats. And it was like, this is how much a party hat is now worth. And people just went around it. And it was so funny seeing all the human behavior that goes around and people trying to, I don't know if they were trying to control them. They were certainly trying to make it more fair. Because they were like, all right, this is getting ridiculous. People are spending like way too much money on this. People are harassing other people for these party hats.
They would get like, I remember there'd be parties to like go kill the people who've got not in real life, but in the game, to go kill them, to go obtain the hats that they'll have.
Yeah, and they try to keep it all in the game, but not even as soon as, people would always find ways for the marketplace to not only be in the game and do things in the game to get around things. So, for example, when you were trying to trade items, there was only a certain amount that you could carry at any given time. And the numbers were starting to get high enough where it's like, I can't have that much gold on me to go and trade this thing. And so what they'd end up doing is like, there was this one person in particular, another good video was around Blue Rose 13X, she became like the smithing queen, and she got the highest smithing levels and basically had people working nonstop to bring her ore so that she could just smith stuff. So she didn't have to go and find the thing. So she was just smithing all day. And, she was getting to the higher levels so she could then create the armor that everyone wanted. And she had an in-game boyfriend who she favored and like some friends, but people would come up to her and be like, hey, give me stuff, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And
it's amazing to like imagine, sometimes there's talks right now where we are end of 2024, AI is going to come and people are going to be favoring video games and wanting to almost like live in the video game world or the reality world versus the actual world. And it's like, man, some people have been doing this for a while, right?
For a full quarter of a century, man.
Yeah.
So this stuff is, and you can see why. Like, she was popular. She was, people were talking about her.
There was values. There was values that she had for the people who were playing the game.
Yeah, and a lot of people started playing the game. It comes with its hate, of course. Like, there was people on forums who were talking shit about her, and she being a woman. I mean, it's like her character was female. No one ever actually knew if she was female, but just talking online, it seemed that she was. Yeah. And so then she got all of this, like,
surprise, Karen, is that chick?
Hate. Yeah, it was me. the blue rose shorts.
13.
Give it away. So so what they would do is like they'd have to do really stupid shit like create 30 Smurf accounts, so which is basically just an account with nothing in it.
Yeah.
Fill those accounts with gold or whatever items that she wanted. Somehow do like a batch transfer of all those accounts to her for her to then make a sword or something and give it to this other person. So like people were spending hours, dicking around doing this stupid shit just to be able to trade in this game. So once again, it's like
people were putting the effort in to do that.
It's so funny just seeing human behavior and economies changing so much. And then it would go outside of this when you could start buying gold for fiat. So like, I've got actual money paying some sort of website to be able to get the gold and then in game. And then it's like, okay, now there's this link to the outside world, hence the ability to pay a car for fucking blue party hat. So
I think there's a differentiator in the human psychology aspect of I guess in-game assets or in-game purchases that if I had to take a stab in the dark, probably I don't know how do you pronounce it? M-Morgs? M-Porgs, whatever. M-Morgs, whatever.
Yeah.
That, massive multiplayer online role-playing games. That aspect of it, I think, has the propensity for humans to purchase things to either level up, kind of like in real life. If you see a neighbor and the neighbor has a new car, generally people will be like, oh, they've got a new car, I should have a new car. Yeah. Or if you're in a suburb where everyone drives Porsches and you're driving around in a little Honda on a Mazda 6, it might be the mentality like, damn, I'm out of place. I need to elevate and get that. So I think the concept of having not just people that are playing it, but people that you can see also playing alongside you having certain things makes you want to be in the same group, be in the same likelihood of what they're doing, etc. So I can see that there being a stronger purpose to that. Also, when it comes into some sort of ranking, so I'm thinking mobile games, other games that have really clear purchases, in-app purchases, they make so much money. But you will see this all the time when, Age of Empires on your mobile or any other of those type of Facebooky type games, I guess, where you're competing or going on a leaderboard against people. Hey, but if you purchase this, you get the ability to play an extra 20 minutes, a triple experience, something like that, right? So that encourages that. But the reason I'm saying that is from a psychological perspective, the in-app purchases where it's not a super comparison or connectedness with the rest of other people that you can see directly, I think there's a tendency for those availability of assets, let's just say, either be one, not as scarce or as valuable, or two, not as used. And I can only say that because I've played, I think there's two main games that I can recall it. One being Gran Turismo, the other one being Call of Duty. Actually, the third one being iRacing, which I like currently have right now. I haven't raced for a little while though, which is a shame. Now, out of those three, iRacing is probably the most connected to me being able to see leaderboards and those other things. But the other two with Call of Duty and with Gran Turismo, you could buy packages in those games where you could get extra race courses or you could get extra maps that you could fight people with. But it wasn't a requirement to be able to play with the general population, or in Gran Turismo's case, just to race on your own and do your thing. And psychologically, in that aspect, I never ever wanted to purchase anything. Like I was like, why in the hell would I even spend $2 to get an extra map to fight people in Call of Duty style, where I can already be using 95% of the maps already that it's available to everyone. And the enjoyment comes from the playing, not from having a different color to my gun or something to that effect. Not always. I can definitely, I've seen videos of people doing that, and that happens in Fortnite now, right? Like in-app purchases with Fortnite, people pay thousands of dollars for different skins and the like.
Yeah.
That's more inclusive with other people, so I could see that being done. I never got captured by that. And I don't know if it was maybe I'm a little bit to the side on that.
Yeah, we're not the best use
We're
cases.
not the best side, but also I also played games which weren't necessarily, I'm in a group that's doing this. There would be, although I still probably wouldn't transfer all the way, but if I was playing Fortnite and I was in a clan or a group and everyone had a $1,000 multi emerald and ruby colored outfit, I would feel a little bit left out if I didn't have it. There would be an internal turmoil between, should I get it because everyone's gunning it? Or no, like, what the hell, I'm not going to do that. But then risk the maybe ostracizing factor of, okay, well, now you're not part of the group because you don't have this. So I can see why there would be a psychologically strong factor to.
I think every behavior you see in just normal in life, I guess. I think you can see all of those in the in-game ones, and it just depends on the person. You know, my brother is much more of a gamer, has always been, than myself, for example, and he's gotten into Pokemon Go over the last 6 months. He's spent an absurd amount of money.
You can buy things in the game?
Yeah, sure.
Pokemon Go?
Sure. Yeah, tons
What?
of stuff, man.
What do you get?
So most of it's items and passes to be able to do things. So, for example, if you run out of Pokeballs, you can restock on Pokeballs. If you want to do a raid pass, which is to be able to like essentially spoof where you are in the world to go to a different place in the world and do a raid there to be able to get a rare Pokemon or something, you know, you have to shill up for that. And so you can do almost all of these things just by playing the game, but you have to play it a lot.
Right.
And you won't be able to get to higher levels as quickly, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then there are certainly ways to be able to like trade in the game, Pokemon. Therefore, you could probably be doing stuff where it's like, I know someone in real life, I'm going to trade them like this rare 2016 Pokemon that only people who are playing back then can get or have for, I don't know, an oddish. And then in real life, I'll give them some money as well or something. You know,
yeah.
So there's all sorts of different behavior that's going on there.
Okay.
And so I think everything that you can see in the real life is in the game. That stuff I was talking about before was like community-driven economies.
Yep.
But these are kind of like small islands, and can they link to a broader market, which is getting towards some of the crypto games.
Okay.
So it's just like the real future intersection of these economies. So I was watching some videos on this as well, and these were actually more hater type videos.
I would say I'm more of a hater of crypto games than I am a lover.
Okay, yeah. Sure. So, and you know, if you've been a hater, times are booming, man. The last 5 years, great time to be a hater on crypto games because God, they've sucked. So another video I watched was talking about this dude who basically started a YouTube channel just on crypto games. Not hating on them, just being like, I'm going to review them because the dude's a gamer. So he's like, I'm going to review these games, particularly on crypto. And so Decentraland, you remember that?
Yeah,
that was very popular.
Yep.
It's got 100 active players as of right at this moment. Good. And
plenty of people.
He played this probably like
I remember when they did the release of the images of what the Decentraland was going to look like. If you haven't seen this, go look at what the example like promo of what they were going to look like prior to and afterwards, because it became a meme for a while about how shit they were.
Yeah, and so this dude went online recently and he's just like, it's a ghost town, man. All these places where they're meant to have NFT art, portraits and galleries of empty and just showing like JPEG out of image, like an error. The only, there's just so funny, like the random shit that he was on these, like the only people on here are bots. Like I think
there's no like real humans. I mean, another example of that was and more even clear example. Well, the woman with still doing relatively well. A couple of years ago, they partnered up with. Can't remember what the name of it is. Something sand. It wasn't Sandbox, but something equivalent to it, where you could get your own house set up if you had like a WoW or a WoW G. Now I had both, so I was able to have both. I remember logging in, setting up my place, putting up my NFTs on the walls, and the whole place thing was like, you can go and visit other people. It's going to be this great thing. Again, not too dissimilar to probably 40% of every single NFT out there. And of course, like I've never, ever, ever logged in ever again to that space. I'm sure I'll never will. I don't know if it's got any particular value. Again, PlayStation back in the day, PlayStation 4 had like the PS home space. And so you could go and play bowling in this little joint space with lots of other people online, and you could do bowling and you can get your house set up. I liked that at the time. There was some value to that, but it was a limited value, more than what I'm probably seeing some of the crypto space.
It's like a gimmick, yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to, you were a big fan of Dapper Dinos for a fair while.
Correct.
Do you still have them?
I still have them, and like, so from an NFT perspective, I haven't gotten rid of any.
Now, they had a game that you were talking about.
They had a game. I never played the game. Now, the game got released. I believe they still continue.
You said you played it. You played a demo or something.
I played a demo. I haven't played the full app release of it, which they do now have.
Yeah.
So maybe kudos to those guys. They actually fully built out their game. I still see their X posts every now and again of like, oh, here comes the next level, or here comes the next thing. It looks okay. Right now, where I stand in my life, there is no gaming in my life necessarily beyond maybe some iRacing, and even then, that's not happening. I'm not sad about that. But I would say they at least executed on what they were going to say.
Yeah.
I can't vouch how good the current system is.
NFT price gone up of them?
No.
Okay,
no, not
so
at all. I haven't seen that they've done anything at all.
Sure.
Not in a comparison to what they used to be, for sure.
Okay, so those one, it would be unfair if we talk about it without having actually done it ourselves. So who knows? The other ones, which were kind of notable, Splinterlands, if you ever heard of that.
Yep.
It isn't even really a game. Basically, like, you just have cards and the cards battle themselves. So it's like, imagine Yu-Gi-Oh, or Pokemon, card games, but you don't even, there's no skill component. You just buy cards and they fight against each other. And they're going bankrupt. Too many numerous scams, rugs, and bombs to count. I actually even knew a dude in real life when I was going to the Cardano meetups who was wanting to create a tower defense game and then link that through with Cardano somehow. And yeah, once again, it's like, I'm not a gamer, so I can't comment on how good or bad his game was. It looks a little bit iffy, but,
sure,
it looked like he was having fun doing it. And I don't think anything ever really came of it, but,
trying it out. Yeah.
Most things don't. That's fine. That being said, so with all of the hate, there are still 300,000 monthly player base on Axie Infinity, which was the
okay. Yeah. I was going to say Axie. Yep.
The one particularly in the Philippines. Gods Unchained, which is on IMX, I believe. They still have 5,000 daily active users.
That's quite a bit.
So right. Off the Grid is the hot one over this last year, which is think of Fortnite, a steampunk or not steampunk, sorry, a kind of dystopian District 9 vibes, because the guy who directed District 9 actually had a huge role in this game.
Okay.
So Fortnite, Battle Royale type game, but with cyberpunk, legs come off, arms come off, and you put on, reattach them, you're shooting.
Right.
You're in a kind of like abandoned type city, but it's also got, electronic stuff, etc., etc. Apparently very good. The only thing people are complaining about with it is actually just some, like, the graphics of it is not great with current computers. Like, it's still a little bit laggy. Like, the frame rate per second is only 60 frames per second instead of.
But do you know where is that limitation?
It's more on, like, the deep technical part of the actual gaming things. Like, I'm talking like fucking polygon rendering and optimization.
And I ask this because I have no clue. Is it a case that it just can't, the polygons rendering and the compute that's coming out of, I guess, the blockchain that's serving?
No. So it's nothing to do with the blockchain that's stuffing this up. Okay. It's purely they haven't got the code up to scratch to be able to handle, like, huge user base plus
gotcha.
The game itself working nicely across various types of, laptops versus
because this I don't know when people talk about, and I don't know this, when people talk about crypto gaming or gaming like on the blockchain, do they mean that the entirety of the game, code and all, and the way that it runs is all based on blockchain? Or
no.
Yeah, okay.
No, just some sort of,
because there are some games that are pure, all code is on blockchain. Like, everything exists on the blockchain.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that has inherent limitations and problems, which I'm sure it would.
So this one, Off the Grid, is the guns, every gun that you can accumulate is an NFT, or every item in the game is an NFT.
Okay.
You earn guns tokens by playing the game. I'm sure you can find them in loot boxes and stuff like that. So basically, it's like everything that you interact with that you would find in, I'm trying to think of an equivalent game. Let's just say Fortnite. Every gun that you pick up, every skin that you find, everything that you earn is an NFT that you can transfer onto an exchange.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Sell that if you wanted to, or etc.
Because the other example that I was going to give, and why I'm not a hater, but I'm still indeterminately in the middle around some of these things. Project Kaizen from Tom Bilyeu. So for those who don't know, Tom Bilyeu, fairly well-known folk in the podcast space. He's the one who built Quest from 10 grand to over $1 billion of sales. So $1 billion sale in like 6 odd years. Obviously became really quite wealthy.
Protein bars.
He then went on to, he always wanted to do some sort of like a Disney competitor, but in the process, he did a podcast that got fairly large, runs Impact Theory, which has, like courses, different things. And he got into crypto and went down the path of creating Project Kaizen. Now, I met Tom Bilyeu. I was there when they were presenting the what's coming out with Project Kaizen, and it's similar to what you're saying in that it was this awesome world, great visuals, kind of looks like that Fortnite equivalent in a big world where, again, you can replace NFTs in terms of the guns and stuff like that. And I know very recently, like it continues to pump out and it works on it. I think he himself has said that they've spent like millions of dollars and tens of thousands of hours, man hours to do it. And he's coming to the realization, he's like, nobody wants this. He's basically like, no, now, I don't know fully where he still sits in the project because I haven't kept on following it. If you go to the communities where that existed, because I was part of it, given that I had some of the NFTs I connected in, it's just like slowly dwindling down and dying, like barely anyone sort of interacting. But there was so much money, so much hours put into it, and he had arguably one of like the largest communities of that space, or at least one of the largest communities to play around with it. And it maybe hasn't failed, but it just hasn't lived up to the expectation that it might have been wanted. And it was great graphics. Like it was really good graphics. Now one of the concerns I have around that is that I tried to download it to play it.
Yeah.
And in the process to do this imagining trying to buy probably crypto, it would be like the equivalent of trying to send us a Boostagram when it very first came out. Sure. It was difficult as fuck. In fact, to the point that like I was experienced in buying NFTs and crypto assets at the time. I couldn't get the game to load with the thing that I'd been given. I could not get it. And I was trying my hardest. It got to a point I was like, I'm just going to stop. Maybe I'm too early with this. Like maybe there's some issues with it. And then after that point, I just never tried again. So I don't know what it's obviously like now. I know that he still kind of pushes it in some regards, but I don't believe he's publicly talked about it for like a year plus.
Yeah. So the thing with that is like, just the numbers you listed, like millions of dollars and tens of thousands of hours. The potential is that he's just not put enough in, and it needs to be tens of millions and hundreds of thousands of hours, which is what Off the Grid certainly has. And so the problem has always been it's crypto people trying to create a game, and it's like that's not going to work. Creating a game is fucking hard. And it actually needs to be the opposite way around. So I listened to an interview with the Vlad from Gunzilla, who is the lead creator of Off the Grid. And so he was, when he was being asked like what's the reason for the crypto stuff, like why is this even in here, and he was basically saying you need to start from the scratch, and that the crypto integration is actually just part of retention for the game. So he's viewing it almost like the social media platforms view attention. It's like we got to do everything we can just to keep our users on here. So now this is like the social media stuff. What do? They do like the clickbait stuff. They'll have make things longer, abilities for people to like pop-ups and things like that. Basically, they're just trying to keep people on the flat platform. And so he was saying why they put the crypto aspect in this is that they want people playing longer, having more fun, getting more value from the game. The gun token, weapon stuff, he wants the now. This is where it's like I get the feeling it's gonna have this kind of divorce from reality, where he was saying like, okay, so you've got the crypto aspect to it, the NFTs and things like this. You're gonna have speculation, and a lot of people have said, okay, but as soon as you start doing this, people just speculate on it, much like the party hats and things like this. And it all just goes out of control and fucks up your game, because you've got people trying to play it for fun, and then you've got people trying to make money from it.
Yeah, different game dynamics.
How does that work? We'll talk more about that in the second part of this podcast. He was emphasizing that like they want the speculation to be driven by in-game users. So this weapon is getting phased out. That skin is rather cool. I'm going to speculate on that, rather than the macro speculation of kind of crypto markets, where it's pure bots and traders are seeing these NFTs and things on exchanges and then going, holy shit, like I can do some arbitrage by buying this thing, putting this up here. Time will tell. Time will tell if he's able to make that happen. And this is where like, he'll need to have his finger, or they'll need to have their fingers on the buttons in the game. Phasing in and out skins, making some guns more powerful, therefore more popular, therefore, more speculative. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting. But yeah, we'll talk more about the integration of different player types after the Boostagram Lounge. So the Boostagram Lounge, for those who do not know, is where Juan and I like to thank people who have helped to support the show monetarily, financially, over this last week. I don't think we actually had any, did we, this week, Juan?
We had one.
Did we?
We have one which came on the 15th. Now, we have to make a note as well. It's a huge shout out to my mum and my dad.
Yeah.
They saved the podcast last week. Otherwise, it would have been unsalvageable with the mic.
Yeah, I wrote that note in the thing. Like, that would have been
that would impossible. Not have been.
I don't think I could have fixed that. No.
That would have been no go.
Huge value being provided there.
Yeah, huge. Thank you very much. Again, you can support us in many ways.
Yeah.
But Violet Mouse.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember this.
Satoshis.stream.
Yep.
1,000 sats sent using Breeze.
So yeah, thank you very much. Awesome. Appreciate it. Love it.
Violet Mouse, thank you very much. But no other Boostagrams. Again, Karen, you've got the fingers in the pulse. What's going on in that space, man?
Oh, it's just, things are changing. It's probably a little bit less, it's a period where it's like the technology has not kept up with the ideas. Probably similar to the games, actually.
Technology hasn't kept up with the ideas.
Yeah, so it's really interesting now that like everything's being looked at with a fresh look. It's like, okay, well, we'll have to use the Stripe API, which is just Strike. Strike is a huge company. Much easier integration. If you think you're gonna have to deal with like Albi going onto here, setting up a password, doing this stuff in the future, it's like it shouldn't be that hard. So it's one of those ones where it's like, we got stuck at a local peak.
Yep.
Got Albi going, everything's integrated, like it's all good, but obviously it's hard for people to get into Albi to jump onto a podcasting app. Now we're going down into a valley for a bit as we're dealing with the bullshit of like trying to fix all this out. It's going to be back up on the other side. So yeah, not to worry, one. But yeah, sending in financial support. In the meantime, you can also use a PayPal. We do have a PayPal link down below.
Correct.
The Boostagrams are not going away. meremortalspodcast.com/support. But yeah, it's going to change a little bit. So just we'll keep you updated.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't change too much on the user side. It's just more how we're...
Like if you join the Fountain app, you're going to be fine.
Same.
Yeah, nothing's going to change. All right. So jumping on to like the out of game sort of thing. So this is where it's gone just from the in-game economy and it's breaching out into the real world, which is kind of what crypto is trying to do. What the crypto integration could do with this. And so one of the things that I don't know how true this is because I haven't actually heard Vitalik say this, so the creator of Ethereum, but apparently he was really pissed off when his really awesome sword that he had in WoW, World of Warcraft,
I've heard this too,
taken away from him, and that was one of the things that made him like, I want digital ownership of my things. I actually haven't heard him say that. I've just heard that story repeated a bunch of times. Same. So take that as you will. So the whole Ethereum ecosystem based solely on this. But there's some things like so play to earn. You've probably heard this before.
Yep.
So play to earn, for those who don't know, is basically you get incentivized for playing the game. So rather than the whole point of that is you're not playing for fun, you're playing to actually earn. So it's more of a job. And this is what Axie Infinity became to a lot of people in the Philippines. There was hundreds of thousands, I believe, of Filipino men, I'm guessing men, but maybe women, who knows, who were realizing like, I can make more money playing this game than working, at the sweatshop, factory or whatever, tilling the fields, playing this game. So why the hell would I go do that really hard thing when I could just be tapping on my phone? Was it fun for them? I'm not sure. I never seen any Philippine interviews with people who are playing this. Maybe I should have done more research. But I've come to the conclusion that the kind of play to earn is stupid, but so are most monetization strategies anyway. So another reason games would want to have the crypto aspect into it is you can have recurring revenue and things like this. It's much the same. Like people are pumping fiat, like my brother is, into Pokemon Go. Crypto is just another way of them being able to get some revenue to actually finance the game.
Sure.
And to make all of the tens/hundreds of millions of investment into it, make it worth it. So I've come to the conclusion, play to earn is doomed to attract mercenary behavior. So this is people who are playing it not for fun, they're just playing it for money.
Yep.
And become Ponzi-like, which is what Axie Infinity ended up turning into, become speculative. And then people who want to play the game are like, I can't buy an Axie Infinity, NFT starter pack for less than like $3,000 or something. Like, what the hell? How am I meant to play this game? But with that being said, normal markets are full of professional traders. So, this is like if you wanted to go buy a stonk, just because there's professional traders there who are arbitraging, who are doing trades, once every, multiple times a minute, doesn't mean that it doesn't become a worthwhile thing for me as more of a long-term holder, perhaps, to buy something. And I'm not playing in there. We're playing the same game, which is buying a thing and then hoping it'll go up in value or hoping to make some money. But we're playing it differently. And I think this can actually work with these types of games as well. You can have the people playing for fun and the full-time crowd. So if you look at like any esport, for example, Counter-Strike, you can still have players who just join on, play for random fun with their friends. But there's also a full competitive Counter-Strike league. So like, how do those things mix? That's actually professional people playing for money. They probably still enjoy it to some extent, but when you've got a coach, there's another thing I've been getting into recently, like
getting a coach.
No. Counter-Strike people like playing the trading of back and forth. Same with Overwatch. The competitive leagues are fucking full of like backbiting, like backstabbing assholes who will switch allegiances for one team for the other. Like it's full on sports, man. There's rosters, people getting paid six figures. It's absurd. I didn't realize just how big this stuff was. I probably should have known.
Esports pretty huge.
Yet you can still have them playing with the average Joes. I play Overwatch with my brother every now and then, and we have fun. Yet we're still playing the same game that these people who are earning six figures are. Sorry. Dying over here, a bit sick. So, with all of that being said, do you think it's possible that crypto will ruin games like this? Is it possible to have the speculation aspect into it? Can you have a game which will have crypto?
I'll go the reverse.
And won't fuck it up.
I don't see that a successful venture will come, a long-term venture will succeed if it is being underlined or its selling point is NFT or some other form of buying asset financial incentive. I think the more successful games are the ones that have that as an add-on, but they've really nailed the part around
so
a game is enjoyable.
The biggest user base is the fun one, and then the crypto stuff or like the...
I don't know whether FIFA...
Professionals.
Yeah, I don't know whether FIFA have done this or not in their like games for soccer. Maybe they have, maybe I don't know. But if FIFA 28 came out in a couple of years and it's the game as you'd expect the game to be, but you also have the availability to buy different colored balls, different boots, or unlocks or whatever.
I'm pretty sure that you can buy card decks to unlock players now. That's what they have.
So to that effect, for me, I could pick up and play a game of soccer on a video game or something like that, and I would find it really quite enjoyable as long as it's nailed really nicely. Then if it has all the rest of the add-ons, I personally might not be amongst it, but others would. And that can go from the people who are just want to get one or two things all the way up to potentially, professional people who are like, okay, well, maybe you can purchase boots in the game that are actually give you 2% boost or whatever. And so people do get that. And or it's a league where you have to wear X amount of things. I get that. Same for iRacing for myself. You, in that game, you get a basic pack of circuits and a basic pack of cars. But for every single other car and every single other circuit, you have to pay that money. It's little, $3, $4, and then you have it forever. I don't personally go and buy any of them because I'm like, I get enough enjoyment just with the base pack. You also pay a continuous fee as well for just playing the game. But, again, if in that aspect they change that over to usage of blockchain or anything else from a monetary perspective, look, maybe it adds a little bit to the game, but it's not the core principle to it. So I think ones that are doomed to potentially fail are those who rely exclusively on that as being the base of the game. That will have potentially some short-term lucrative potential for people, but on a long enough term, I could see that being like, oh, well, why are you going to play that potentially 12 years' time when maybe it needs a certain level of mass adoption and mass usage, otherwise it doesn't become fun. Other games though do have that problem. Give an idea of Call of Duty. Call of Duty has both a single player and a multiplayer and an online version. Actually, do they have multiplayer for like if you're offline? I don't think so. No, single player, offline, online.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the online. I did play the offline, but I really enjoyed the online. But in enough time length, that went away. Why? Because either one, they'd kill the servers, or two, there just wasn't enough people playing in the game for you to have an enjoyable time because you need people playing it.
Yeah.
So there are things that are going to have, time domain, but some of the pay to earn are going to be even shorter with the attention span of people. So if the fun of the game comes from trading or sharing things or buying assets and price fluctuations, and that's what the joy comes from it, as soon as the next shiny thing comes, large part of the market goes away and goes and does that, and all of a sudden you don't have a game. It was just bloated on the back of attention, as opposed to the game being anything more than just the shiny color that allowed the transactions and the stream of people to be on there.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the base case, like the bare minimum thing that you need is the link to something that humans already have in us. I want to have fun. I want to show status. I want to connect with friends. I want to make new friends. I want to feel a connection of something. That's got to be the base case of the game. You can't just have a game which is a pure monetary, like view it as a job sort of thing. I don't think humans will gravitate towards those if it's just that. So that's base case. And then I think the thing that'll make sense for a crypto game to actually be successful is where it's like, it's kind of like a light touch but also they're manipulating things. So if we think of something like the diamond market at the moment, it has been under the control of the De Beers company for fucking forever. They own, I think, still 90% of the world's diamonds.
Yeah, something like that.
But the thing that I think they do really well is both the supply and the demand aspect, but not the exchange of actual diamonds. So, for example, they control a lot of supply, 90% of it. They have huge warehouses where they've just got tons of diamonds in there, and they will intentionally not sell them to be able to drive up prices to constrict supply. Demand, they had like a huge marketing campaign, diamonds are a girl's best friend, all that sort of shit. They did really well at that, but I don't think they try and meddle with the actual like market, actual price of like, is this diamond worth this much? I don't think they play in that game. And I kind of see that's how probably crypto games would do successfully. They meddle with the supply of things. Oh, we're going to put this many tokens out. We're going to put this type of NFT. It'll have this rarity. It'll have this power up. It can intersect or interact with this one. If you pair these up, it'll be even worth more, or things like this. And then, the marketing side showing like, oh yeah, man, having this game so fun. Look at all these people doing this. It's got this crypto aspect. You could even make some money from it maybe. But not fucking around with the exchange like Jagex tried to do with RuneScape, where they actually got in the middle and they're like, all right, these things are too much. We're going to try and, cap it at this supply so other people can have, when I say cap it at this supply, we're going to try and fix it at this exchange rate so other people have a chance of getting in on this or being able to buy this, and people know it's worth this much, which just ended up terribly. People going around it, people doing all sorts of, illegal/dangerous behavior to get around this artificial thing.
One problem with all this though, right, is we are talking largely from an opinion-based perspective of what we think a good game is, or what would make a good game, and also what would be good for a developer of a game. Now, ultimately, what does success might look like for, say, a developer of a game? Because let's just say the success is, oh yeah, we sell this much amount, so we make a triple of our profit of whatever money we came in. Well, maybe, because again, what would you say makes a good game in a just fundamental level? I would say, well, it's either like the amount of users or the amount of eyeballs that you get on this product. Let's just say the amount of eyeballs you get on the product, which can then convert into users actually paying for something, or that's the way you want to get monetary benefit from it. If you're the creator of something, you probably want a return on your investment, and you want essentially eyeballs, users. What that might look like is actually optimizing it for some sort of in-app purchase, financially gamified way that doesn't make a great game, doesn't make a long-lasting game, but it's this will last for a season or a year or two, and it'll make max amount of buck until we create the next one that goes and does that as well.
Yeah, I'll take Flappy Bird, for example. Very popular game, really successful, yet the developer who created it felt that it was harming humanity in some sort of sense, or harming people. And so he intentionally took it off the App Store and made it, inaccessible. So, widely financially successful, widely played, but the guy still felt like it failed as a game because of the behaviors that incentivize or the things that occurred from people playing it. So, yeah, I mean, it'd depend on the developer, I guess, what they consider successful.
But yeah, I was going to say though, that would have to be the rare circumstance where a developer or a group of people would be like, oh no, it's making a lot of money and it's doing this.
Justin Fox, who I had on the podcast a couple of times, he had that story where him and some people created just a kind of like tapping type game, mobile game. How many years ago? I'm not sure. Mid-teens of this century. And they said it was successful financially until they realized like their user base was actually one kid using his parents' credit card and just bulk spamming like 5 to 10 grand a month. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, well, this is probably not so good.
But what happens if that kid's parents are absolutely loaded?
That's just exactly. Yeah, fine. This is one of those ones where it's like, you'd need a lot more context details of how, like, what's been happening. Was this kid actually just getting was he getting that much enjoyment out of the game? That much value, potentially.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
he doesn't know the value of that money, but
different
does
is
his
that?
parents
How
know?
different is that, though, to, if someone sent us 100,000 sats every week or 1 million sats every week, because that's the value that they get from it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Is it unethical for us to accept that much from if it was like a 14-year-old kid that was like, God damn it, I'm just going to send them because there's so much value. I don't necessarily think it's unethical if there's a value that's being obtained, but I guess unsure of what the value is.
Yeah, from the sound of it, when Justin was saying that, it sounded like he'd dug a little bit deeper into that and was like, actually knew it was a kid, actually knew it was his parents' credit card that was being used, but then the additional details on top of that, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess from like games, I personally can't say that it will ever impact me now moving forward. I'm just not into games anymore. If I was to see, years ago, 10 years ago, I would have been excited about the latest Uncharted or all these new games coming out, or GTA 6 and the new Gran Turismo. Not anymore. That's not something that I prioritize nor really keep up with, care about. No, I don't get. There's no more joy in that than other things I do in my life. So, for me, I go, no matter what happens in the game, in that space, gaming industry to NFT usage, none of that will ever apply to me, ever. even to the point that like the most I could tell you would be if VFriends came out with a game and it was some part of pay to earn, so that if you have this VFriend, you get this thing. I would use it to trial it, but it wouldn't keep me hooked in comparison to maybe other things that I'm doing in life. So in short, I go, it would whatever's being used from a crypto game, in-app purchases to be successful, it's always going to be, well, what's the audience and the viewership that you're likely going to be interacting with? And it's going to be more younger than it is going to be the older. I hazard a guess that most companies who are creating, let's say Kaizen with Impact Theory or Tom Bilyeu, I doubt that he's creating the product to be like, this is going to be for the 70 to 90-year-old to really enjoy. No, it's the Fortnite players, it's your teens through to your early 20s or late 20s who are generally your large amount of audience. And for a large part, I'm starting to eject out of that audience, and it might be thrilling, it might be engaging, it might be the most addictive game, but I'm just seldom going to play it nor care what they actually end up doing with it, at least in that sphere. So it'll be interesting to see, though, what ends up winning, if it's very connected in with crypto and advise that it's using blockchain and you does this, or is the winning solution going to be, no, we're just going to build a good game and we're going to have those solutions technically, but as a user, you won't see, that will not, to a younger audience who have been now growing up with a lot of blockchain, it will not seem as like, oh wow, it's the blockchain, or they're using, it's just going to be, oh yeah, that's just the other means that they utilize it, and that's just part of the norm.
Yeah. The only games I've ever really played have been ones where there's a fixed definable, like you've completed it, aka like a God of War type thing. So I'm just playing it for myself. Yeah. And I'm certainly not trying to optimize. I'm not going to get into speed running. I actually find it rather fascinating. I really enjoy watching speed running videos.
I hate speed running as a concept. I'm always like the inverse of that. I prefer.
Why is that?
I think it was because
I would have thought you'd love speed running. Quickest, get it done. That's one mentality to a T.
No, mine's an optimization for maximum stats and maximum games. So I'll give you the clearest example. There's two examples of the one game that I used to play, Kingdom Hearts. In Kingdom Hearts, for all of those games, the video ones, not like the Game Boy ones and stuff. At the very beginning, you normally start in this like darkness path where you kind of just learn to use your sword. You get to fight a little bit. It's basically like the intro so that you can get into the game. I spent, it's supposed to be 5 minutes that you're in this introductory area and then you get into the game. I spent 50, 60 hours in the training area so that I would level up to a ridiculous level that the game wasn't supposed to be at. So, you're supposed to be at like level 3 as you start the game. I was like level 20-something, 30-something, which means the game's like in ridiculous easy mode because you're just overpowered. And I like to optimize for that. And I would not finish a game until it was completed to the 100%.
Yeah,
I think the only one I ever did was Oblivion.
Speed running of that. Speed running all levels, speed running all items. But I don't like the concept of as fast as possible. Mine was
as complete as possible. So maybe I didn't.
But
like
they have even speed running of as complete as possible.
Yeah, but
as well.
I guess the speed bit is that I hated. Like the speed bit, I'm like, oh,
which is weird. Why is that? I
don't know. But but I did that in Kingdom Hearts in like various ways. There's various like methods that I did that for that.
Yeah. The only other probably interesting thing with this would be how do like hackers, AIs, and bots?
Quick, I'll say this is why. I didn't want to speed up. I wanted to delay as long as possible the joy I was getting from the game. Which that's probably why.
I can understand that as well. And that's, I was saying before, like the only games I played are the God of War type ones. I'll play FIFA with friends. But I've never gotten into, my brother, for example, like I'm playing Overwatch with him every now and then, and it's kind of fun. But that's because we're in the same room. And then he was saying like, oh yeah, I might go to the other room. So I could have the big TV as well because I'm just playing on it. He's playing on we're in the same room. He's on his desktop. I'm on the big TV. And he's like, oh, I might go to the other one. And as he said that, I'm like, I won't play. If you do that, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play here. I'm doing it because we're in the same room. We can kind of have some fun. We can joke about things. But as soon as you go over there,
lose the fun.
Not interested. So, obviously, crypto games were not the ideal audience for all of this. Hackers, the bots, AI, is that going to change anything? The only thing I could think was like if there's more free time, so people don't have to work as much, 4-day work weeks, perhaps even getting less than that, probably less jobs needing to be physical outdoor labor perhaps, or even less jobs, menial tax accountants. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Manchil. Then if people have more time, I think they would gravitate towards games. So I could see game use rising in the future.
I could see that too. I could see the more virtual reality becoming more lifelike with AI in that, I remember doing this in games like Skyrim or Oblivion. I would spend more time with just going up to like random NPCs and asking them what's going on and finding out like, oh, yeah, this random person in this random town is telling me this. Well, with a good few AI agents played out, all of a sudden every single character in this, of 50,000 characters in this whole game, each one of them has a supremely deep, rich story that you can ask, and it all connects up to the one larger thing. Just as I say that makes me excited. That would make me excited to play something like an Oblivion or a Skyrim or whatever the new thing offers that, because it has a more immersive feel. It gets me closer to what I would envision a really good fiction story is in its immersiveness. So maybe like a really well applied application of AI in that manner would have me coming back.
What's the difference between an AI and a bot, for example, when it comes to gaming? I don't think there is. I think that's the same thing in a way. So it's like, if the AIs are going to start playing games, and we're talking about like large language model or shit like that, when you're like, well, they're already, that's what bots are, and they're already way better than humans will ever be. There's the tool assisted speedruns, for example, where people have found out, okay, this is how you optimize the speed run, like the microsecond press left. So it'll be like, there's literally this one on Trackmania where the speedrunner is just a curve like this. It just goes off to the right. It takes about 4 seconds. And they found that the tool-assisted speedrun says, you'd think like, okay, what buttons do you need to press? Well, forward and right. And that'll be the quickest way to get there. Wrong. The quickest is actually going forward, right, and then every now and then you have a little left tap, because it gets you slightly like your wheel slightly polygons or some shit closer to the edge. So they've already got like AI. Will people ever watch AI kind of like streamers?
Well, I think we're mixing up. I think we're mixing up technology like. And fair enough that we're mixing up the naming of it. But basically, I guess in that concept, what I break it down is algorithmically programmed technology has existed for a very long time. Don't call it AI. That's like that's not what it means. But from like programmatically created bots or dictated by code that has already been applied by something else, that's existed for a while. I'm talking about the unconstrained, unrealized generation of content or things that are not. So that example, it would be the equivalent of on not just tracking like that, it would be a completely auto-generated track and then auto-generated bots that would auto beat everyone else, I guess, something to that effect.
Yeah.
That's more like the things I guess I would be thinking about.
So I think there will probably be a point where I'll call it an AI agent. So it's an agent that not specifically was designed to play this game, but could you ever imagine a future where people will watch Twitch streamers just playing video games, right? There's a huge thing. That's what Twitch is all about. Mm-hmm. Do you think there'll be a version of that where it's an AI agent? So take something like a truth terminal, which at the moment is just existing through Twitter, but it can interact slightly outside of that. Mm-hmm. Or there's all sorts of new ones coming up. I forget the names of them. Luma, I think, is one of them. And do you think there will ever be a point in the future where people are watching everything is just digital? It's a digital persona of an agent. They've perhaps got a digital voice attached to it, playing a video game against other AI agents or perhaps against humans, and people will voluntarily watch that and even, give it attention / money like they would
Yeah, for sure. I think so.
Yeah,
I think for sure.
Yeah, I think it will happen, but it'll be interesting how it is, because are they just would they artificially constrain themselves just to be able to get more attention so that they are playing against real human players, or is it now we're just in such a dystopian future where
I think it'll just be honestly be like AIs against AI. Yeah.
Which I think I could imagine that happening. Last point here. There's a minor theory going around that crypto has already found its major use case in gaming, the GameFi, as it was called. Something that was always promised for a fair while. It's not a battle royale. It's not a tower defense game. It's stock market simulation, aka meme coins. And so this is what some people is actually saying. I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. If you think of something like Roller Coaster Tycoon, that game was about making money, really. The whole point of you're not having fun. You're just watching Sims doing random shit in that context. But the fun is you're creating a little marketplace. You're being able to dictate it, things like that. And meme coins are kind of like that. It's like stock market, but way more fun. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a game. I can get that. So maybe it's already here.
Yeah, I mean, on that, I'd say not at all. I think that is as a faulty view of an immediacy that will not prevail in the long term. Similarly, as many other things, it's just it's attention. It's where the attention is. Now, it's very true. There's a lot of attention in the current market, whereas memes, and there's a lot of attention because it's how it's distributed. But I think I've said to Karen as well, this one private, I just think ultimately when the attention gets moved onto something else, which it will, then it leaves a gap in that existing market, which then goes, okay, well, there's no market. Same thing as the stock market. If hard to try to put a scenario in how this happened, but if there was no attention in the general stock market or in general companies, that is part of what gives the value to a market as well. Now, it's a bit different there because they're producing value that's being consumed by people. So that in itself brings inherent value to why people are looking to get it or purchase stock, I guess, per se, or drive the price up. Same thing with memes. It's meme coins. It's, yes, there's attention and there's attention in the, I guess, social aspect of it. But until it gets moved onto, I'm talking usability for blockchain, until it gets moved to something where there's other value that's being obtained, it's going to falter at the line of, yes, but it's just attention. It's like whenever attention is around it, then it's going to do well. And when attention is not around that and goes to the next thing, then it's not going to do as well. I can talk about Space Wars. I think I've sent it to you and Manchel the last couple of days. I saw that.
Yeah, what is that?
I saw that. It's just a random coin that I saw being pumped up by a particular group. You could tell that it was going to go up, but you can tell it's going to go down. And again, it's a meme coin that has influence and that it's going to bring in views or eyeballs to the product. The product's going to go up, but it's going to go down. Why? It can't be a sustaining thing because there's nothing else that's holding it until the attention goes elsewhere. I guess for again, this is going to be I reckon it's going to become an interesting conversation in a few years' time when there's a bit more precision in like, when people say like, oh, but the value of crypto, it's like, what are you actually talking about? Are you talking about the social following of a crypto like meme, or the idea and the social construct of it? Because that's very different to the blockchain as a technology. Again, we're definitely in a world now, and we've said this in the past, I reckon there's 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds are making money of memes. I reckon they probably know like 1/8 of what we knew at that time of like when we were younger about the blockchain. And they're still like, this is not a care. It's like, why would we need to know about how this operates or what the value of it is? I get it. Don't really need to make that money that's happening from a viewership perspective. Similarly, I kind of see it in gaming with apps. I think the successful for a developer or for a game will be yes, you're leveraging the technology, but you don't really see it as a separate technology. It's all really nicely in sync and it makes sense in the marketplace or whatever else you're using for it. But as long as there's a key thing that keeps the individual or the user or the viewer or the eyeballs on the product, then everything else is just the add-on bonus, as opposed to selling something because it has like, which I think that's why Kaizen and a few others might have gotten wrong, where it's like, okay, they did have well-intended means of a game that they want to create, but in the end, they were trying to optimize a little bit too much on the marketplace and selling aspects of it, where if it's a good game, that would come naturally. But if you go the other way, a good game is not going to naturally come. Yeah,
they sounded like they were on the crypto side trying to make a game rather than
which kind of sucks. Like, if you hear that and you're going to go like, oh, you're a gamer? You're like, I probably don't want to do that. But if it's just a fucking good game, if GTA 6, when it comes out, like, I'm sure people will really want to play it. Who knows? That's what the meme is. It's like, fuck, we got Doge being a real thing before GTA 6.
It's like been a decade since the last one. Right?
I don't know. It's been I can't remember how long, but it's been a goddamn long time.
I remember someone saying it was like, someone died.
They released a trailer. They actually released a trailer for GTA 6, and it was like coming soon in like 2 years, and people were just like, what the hell is this?
You gonna play it?
I won't, because I haven't played many of the other GTAs, but heaps of people would. If that came out with some crypto, NFT, whatever integration, people would still be playing the game for the game. They wouldn't be getting it because of that. So that's got to be the horse before the cart. Can't be the other way around.
Interesting. Yeah.
All right, Mere Mortals, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening to this. It wasn't live, but that's okay. You can...
laptop issues.
Laptop issues. Can you see if it's actually loaded back up?
I saw it at 9:17 it was, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Man, only 16 minutes later, something like that. Thank you very much for tuning in. Again, you can support us through all the good ways. The PayPals we mentioned, Boostagrams, go to your favorite podcasting platform out there.
Sharing this with someone. If you got any subject recommendations that you'd like to hear about on the show, would love to hear that as well. And then, liking, subscribing, commenting on any of the social media stuff we put out as well. It's very much appreciated.
We'll leave it there. Mere Mortals. Thank you very much. One out.
Going out.
Good.
Bye.